Beloved Creator of all that is, all energies within and without our material and etheric location, let it be known. We declare that all men, when they form a social compact, are equal and right, that all power is inherent in the people, and that all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness, and they have at all times a right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. These are our principles, our credo, our purpose, and our prayer. Let it be so, and so it is.
Thank you, Charlie.
Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head of the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. I'm bringing some information to you today that's proof with a preponderance of evidence, and the evidence has been gathered in the last 6.5 years, and it has been signed, sealed, stamped, witnessed, proof of service, and published. We have the documentation that establishes everything that I'm going to say, and we've said it continuously, and we have not had one rebuttal from anyone or any organization from the DOJ and the FBI and the Oregon State Police and 36 sheriffs that don't have an oath. The preponderance of evidence, excuse me, we have not had government on Oregon since November 8th, 1910. We have had 115 years of color of law, of fiction, of fraud. Fraud vitiates all contracts either partially or completely. This is what we know and have proof of, published without rebuttal. Carpetbagger attorneys from California have done this mostly. They find ready acceptance among the attorneys on Oregon, I'm sure. However, the current 115 years of fraud was brought to us by Frank Benson, and it's Article 7 amended, which changed the Constitution, which put us into a for-profit government run by the judiciary instead of government and the judiciary run by the people, which is common law. They changed that. If you look in Oregon's Constitution, you find Article 7 amended, which is illegal and illegitimate and de facto. Black's Law, 6th edition, page 416. And then you look in the Constitution and you find Article 7 original, which is what it should be and what we should have and don't. And that's a paradox. Article 7 amended, we have and should not have. And Article 7 original, we do not have and should have. And that's the fraud. And it's perpetrated by the Oregon State Bar. And in November 2022, every judge on Oregon in that corrupt judiciary of Article 7 amended with bogus oaths, that bunch acquiesced. And that document is signed, sealed, stamped, witnessed, proof of service, and published at www.orsja.org. That's a preponderance of evidence. And there is no evidence to rebut it. It stands. So, in 1819, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, the Anti-Titles of Nobility Act, was amended into our Constitution. The final state, Virginia, ratified it, and it became part of the Constitution in 1819. And every state that became a state since 1819, including Oregon, the last state, has in their statehood documents the United States of America's Constitution with that 13th Amendment in it. It's part of the statehood documents. Little fun facts, I think it was Connecticut or Delaware, one of the original states, published a book similar to Oregon's Blue Book. I think they called it the Red Book. And in 1922, Amendment 13 was published in their Red Book. And in 1925, and all books published since, Amendment 13 has been left out. That's a fun fact. Here's another one. The state of Oregon, aka all caps state of Oregon, those folks that are running Salem, the oligarchy that has the keys to the archives, refuses to show Oregon's original statehood documents. And the reason they don't want to show Oregon's original statehood documents is because a guy named Matthew Deedy wrote the Oregon histories, and the Oregon legislature paid for them. And they're published in every law library in Oregon. You can go look at them. Matthew Deedy. He published two of them, 1848 to 1864, I believe, and like 1860 to 1874. They overlap during the war. So in his two books, he says there is no Amendment 13. And he gives a little bit of a reason why, which is the lie they started in Lincoln's administration, saying that the 13th Amendment was the one that freed the slaves, which is a lie. It's bogus. It didn't happen that way. It happened in color of law. It didn't happen in law. It happened in fraud. So the fraud started on Oregon in 1860, right after Oregon became a state. The statehood documents may not even have returned to Oregon. We don't know. We can't get them. We can't look at them. And the National Archives will not address it either. They will not address that question. That FOIA is ignored. And it's also ignored by the Library of Congress. All the repositories where you can find Oregon's original statehood documents are closed. They won't show them. But in not showing them, it proves that they do not have the keys to the statehood documents. They cannot be legitimate if they cannot show their bona fides, and they can't, because if they do, they prove that they're two books written by a carpetbagger attorney from California named Matthew Deedy. They have an altar. They had an altar to him on the 7th floor of the Marco Hatfield building. It was damaged, and they say they're going to replace it. We saw that just the other day. So back to the fraud. We know the fraud happened, and we were placed in martial law under Lincoln. And the only way out of martial law, according to their United States and Indiana, when Indiana was still Indiana and not the state of Indiana, a subdivision of the United States of Washington, District of Columbia, Inc. There was a penitentiary in Indiana, and they were treating the Southern soldiers in that penitentiary horribly. And 5 guys, one of them named Milligan, tried to set a bunch free, and they got caught, and the bluecoats were going to hang them. And Indiana said, no, you're not going to hang them. We're not even in that conflagration. You have your prison here, but you're not going to hang Indiana men. And the Supreme Court stepped up with Ex parte Milligan. And Ex parte Milligan, named after the guy, says that there can be no martial law on the land where there is a civilian court of record. That's true. So from that time until sometime in the early 1900s, they set about changing each state, such as Indiana and Oregon, from a state in the Union, in the Confederation and Perpetual Union, where we have original jurisdiction. Before the fraud, they ignore that. They make Nevada a state, and you read Nevada's constitution, and it's a farce. And they make West Virginia a state, and they finish the conflagration, and they never reconstitute the United States of America. They go on as a military industrial form of government. And that's how they do it from the time of Grant on. And when you look at Oregon's counties' names, you'll find the names of a lot of Union generals. There's a reason for that. You'll also notice that in the means and bounds of Oregon, the land, there are no forts, ports, or military installations. And the needful building, for example, the Marco Hatfield building, is not there lawfully and legitimately. The whole thing is a fraud and a lie. And it has to be corrected because we know there's no way to cover it up now. When you look in the internet for Colorado statehood papers, they published them. They put them on the internet. And Amendment 13 is in their statehood documents. How can that be? The whole thing is just one travesty upon another. So they've had 115 years of illegal and illegitimate de facto governance on Oregon. That has to stop. De facto is defined Black's Law 6th edition, page 416. De jure is also defined there. We're not having it anymore. They cannot stand, they cannot support their claim they cave every single time. Now, we have done a tremendous amount of work, and that tremendous amount of work is being backed up daily by people doing their work. And everybody has to do it for themselves. Nobody can do it for you. If you're not free in your own mind, if you don't understand the Constitution and the laws of nature and nature's God in your own mind, nobody can do it for you. That's just how it is. And we can't do it alone. So we have 36 sheriffs, and I've met several of them. And those 36 sheriffs do not have a proper oath. That's not a difficult thing to do. We have been trying to get them to take and have a proper oath for years. It started in 2017. I even made a little video on this the other day. I send emails to sheriffs telling them what we're doing and inviting them to change their performance and to become honorable. Once you have been advised that what you're doing is illegal and illegitimate and de facto, and you're supporting fraud, once you've been advised of that and the preponderance of evidence is available to you, you can no longer, in honor, continue to do that. And we are not going to permit you to maintain the office of sheriff without the proper bona fides. Now, almost nobody cares. But every single day, they hold traffic court. And every single day, they hold traffic court all around Oregon. And we show up and explain to those people that are in traffic court or showing up to sign up for traffic court. And we start explaining to them the rules of the road, what the legitimate situation is. And then we turn off your Article 7 amended spigot, and you no longer have the income stream from your illegitimate and illegal court. So there's the position. You have to do it yourself. No one can do it for you, and we cannot do it alone. But we're not alone. I think there's a tremendous amount of people that are occupying the position of person as a deputy for one of the sheriffs, and now they know that their oath is bogus. They know that the evidence is clear and it's published. They know what the situation is. To become with honor, all you have to do is take a proper oath and to continue to act in honor. Whatever you did in the past was done prior to now. But from now on, you know, and we know, and we're not going to permit it to go on any further. So I think I've explained it pretty well, and I yield. What you're seeing here is a copy of what is on my screen on email from Proton. Now, Yesterday, I sent an email to 50, these 50 here that you see below, talking about do not engage, does not trump petition for redress of grievance, Amendment 1 in our constitutional Republican form of government. 9 de facto Oregon sheriffs are now occupying their office of sheriff, and blah, blah, blah. They are not legitimate and they're not doing the job. So today I altered that and added 3 Oregon State Police detectives did engage. They are doing their very best to not engage with us, and they sent 3 specifically to engage. What you see here is the email that I sent. Dan, Jake, and Ian, those were the 3 detectives that we met there. Sam's on this call, and he was there that day. Those 3 guys did hear my testimony in open court. 3 tribunals, 1 clerk, 1 marshal of our Article 3, Amendment 7, Civilian Common Law Court of Record were present and did take notice. The 3 of you also testified to our open court. You did not hear about how you did hear about how a fact was made with an unrebutted testimony in the form of an affidavit of truth, which the 3 of you then received in written form from me. They know Article 7 amended is bogus, de facto, color of law. That is a fact. You know about I am free to go. We gave you the card. That is a fact. All of you know there is a de facto and a de jure. All of you know that 62.5% of the population will not speak truth to the de facto. The state of Oregon, a subdivision of the U.S. Inc., is de facto, with the legislature led by their governor, Tina. 89 of them violated their oath. They have no honor. They may not hold a position of trust. They did that on January 21st, 2021. All of you know that. When you honor that which has no honor. With a verdict from our jury in open court and Article 3, Amendment 7, in original jurisdiction, Article 1, Section 1 of the Provisional de jure Government on Oregon, without rebuttal for 6.5 years. Where do you fit? With the federal cop at the VA forced to take a to keep his job? The VA declared me disruptive. So did the Oregon Department of Corrections. The federal district court at 1000 Southwest 3rd declared me a vexatious litigant. Black-robed persons threatened me with jail. Cops threatened trespass. It has been determined I am on target as the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. Then I dropped in a web address for YouTube for a recording for those folks to hear. This is living testimony in the form of an affidavit of truth. All of us have this paragraph here. Mine reads this way because I had a case before the Court of Appeals on Oregon, and I'd put in my paper, and one of the judges sent me back a little email saying, Ron, you're going to have to do better. Okay, so this is the best I know how to do to identify who I am and what I'm about. After that is, with full faith and credit, we establish what law is for this document and in this conversation with this instrument. And it's the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, Oregon's Constitution circa 1859, and the United States of America's Constitution circa 1859. Then some other stuff, Clearfield, Accardi, Young, Ex parte Milligan, McCarran-Walters Act, which I think is excellent, Judiciary Act 1789, Section 32, and it goes on to establish what we're talking about and what our level of conversation is. Then this communique is not intended to mislead, defraud, deceive, or threaten in any way, and is submitted with good faith and clean hands. I do lawful, not legal, and this is my best effort. That precludes anything to do with what they like to accuse us of. We don't do legal. And then I close with love, peace, harmony, and a prayer, and on Oregon, without the state of Oregon, within the United States of America. And I yield.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. Then he jumps out of the car, and he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.